Hi, I'm John Sangiovanni, Coordinator of Elementary Mathematics, and this is Math in Minutes. In this segment, we'll take a look at comparing fractions. As we know, we can compare fractions by finding common denominators, but sometimes it's just more efficient to think about the fractions. One way that we can reason about fractions is by examining their numerators. In this case, we have three fractions that have the same numerator. We have 3/5, 3/4, and 3/6. We can think about the size of these pieces and the number of these pieces that we have to compare them. So let's think about the size of these pieces. If this is 1/6, then 1/5 is just a bit larger. And 1/4 is just a bit larger than that. In this case, we have 3 of each of these pieces. So now we have 3/4, 3/5, and 3/6. We can see that 3/4 is a bit larger than 3/5, and that 3/5 is a bit larger than 3/6. In this case, we can think about common numerators, the size of the pieces, and compare the fractions. Reasoning about the size of the pieces and the number of the pieces is useful for comparing fractions. In fact, it allows us to compare common numerators. Using common numerators can be much more efficient than trying to find common denominators. In theory, this should always work. Let's take a look at some other fractions. Let's take a look at 14/18 and 14/20. Which one's greater? Well, we can think about the size of the pieces, and that we have the same number of pieces in both cases. We can think that 20ths are a little bit smaller than 18ths. And so, 14 of something that's a little bit smaller than 14 of something that's a little bit larger means that 14/18 is greater than 14/20. We can extend this idea to 17/19 and 17/125. These are fractions that we don't usually compare in real life, but we may encounter them sometimes. We can think about them in the same way. 99ths would be a little bit larger than 125ths. And since we have the same number of both fractions, we can reason that 17/99ths is greater than 17/125ths. This has been a look at comparing fractions with common numerators. See you next time on Math in Minutes.